Okay, so this is the first video of the second semester. Hopefully you can access this pretty well. Yesterday we talked not briefly, but we talked yesterday about solving systems, kind of reviewed what we had learned prior to our Christmas break. Today we're going to go ahead and extend on that. Oftentimes when we do systems of equations, it's not as simple as getting two equations, then we have to solve them using elimination substitution or by graphing. Instead, what happens is we'll get a scenario, a word problem, especially when we talk about taking the EOC STAR test, if you will. We end up getting word problems where we actually have to create the equations and then solve them for a solution. So that's what we're going to do today. Just do 4 quick examples, and this is what you'll have in class and for your homework tomorrow. So let's just get started. So there are 22 students in a classroom. There are 12 more boys than girls. Write a system of equations that could be used to find the number of boys B and the number of girls G. All right, so we're given 2 variables already. We're going to use those variables in both of our equations. So the first thing we're being asked to do here is create the equations. Well, you know that there are a total of 22 students in the classroom. That means combined, boys and girls equals 22. So how do I get that using my variables? Well, do I know how many boys there are? Not exactly. Do I know how many girls there are? Not exactly. But I know together that boys plus girls equals 22 students. So that's one of our equations. Now remember, when we do a system of equations, we need 2 or more equations. Now in Algebra 1, 9th grade, we're really only be dealing with 2 equations, but there are instances where you might do a third. Okay, so I have B plus G equals 22. So that's how many total students are in the class. Now this is taken care of. I like to go ahead and check things out as I go to know that I've handled that already. Okay, the next thing, let's just read it as are. There are 12 more girls than boys. Okay? So, girls equals, we know boys plus 12, right? Because it says there's 12 more girls than boys. That means if you take the equal amount of boys and girls, there's 12 more girls. So you've got to take the boys amount and then add 12, and that's going to tell you how many girls you have altogether. So now you've created a system of equations. And so we've taken care of this one. So now we have 2 equations. And then, of course, the directions just tell us go ahead and write the system of equations. So there's our system of equations. Now, based on the way we've set the equations up because of the wording of the problem, we need to determine the best method for solving this system of equations. Well, since I already know what G equals, I can go ahead and say that I'm going to use substitution. They're not in standard form together. Since they're not in standard form together, I don't want to do elimination. They're not both in y equals mx plus b, so I don't want to take the time to do the extra work to graph, even in my calculator. I can go ahead and use substitution because one of them is in standard form and one of them is y equals mx plus b form. So I'm going to use the method of substitution. And then over here I'm going to go ahead and work it out. So since I'm going to go ahead and rewrite my system, b plus g equals 22 and g equals b plus 12. Since I know my g value is b plus 12, anywhere I have a g, I can plug in b plus 12 in the other equation. So when I rewrite this using substitution, I'm going to do b plus, instead of g now, I know that g is b plus 12, so I'm going to do b plus 12 equals 22. I just simply replace this g value with b plus 12. When you do substitution, you should substitute so that you only have one variable. Now I have a b plus b. Okay? Substitute so that you only have one variable. If you still have a g there, you've done something wrong. You're not putting in g equals b plus 12. You're just putting in b plus 12 because you know that g is, that's what g equals means, g is b plus 12. And now I can just work this out because I have one variable. So I'm going to do b plus b, combine my like terms, is 2b plus 12 equals 22. And now I should be able to solve this equation like any other simple equation that we've done for so much this year. Subtract 12 from both sides. This is going to leave me with 2b. Those cancel out. 12 minus 12 is 0. 22 minus 12 is 10. So 2b equals 10. Divide both sides by 2. And b equals 5. To go ahead and get my g value, I can go up and plug it into either one of these. Now, I think that the second one's going to be the easiest to plug it in since g is already solved. So I'm just going to go back in and I put g equals, instead of b now, I know b is 5 plus 12. G equals 17. So I know that there are 5 boys and 17 girls in this particular class. There's my solution. Now in this case, that's how I would write my solution, because I'm not necessarily looking for an intersection or a coordinate. Now it is the same concept when I'm solving, but we're not dealing with specific points now. We're dealing with actual items such as boys and girls and whatnot. So then I can go ahead and I can check my answers. Is 5 plus 17 22? Yes. Is 5 plus 12 17? Yes. So there are 12 more girls than boys. Okay. All right, and that works out perfect. Okay. Let's look at our next one. It says the perimeter of a rectangular field is 12 feet longer than it is wide. Its perimeter is 76 feet. Write the system of equations that could be used to find the length L and the width W of the field. Okay, the first thing, whenever I deal with something that gives me a shape or an object, I'm going to draw that object out. So just off to the side, I'm going to draw my rectangular field. As the more we do these in class, you're going to see that, now this is a good rectangle. The more we do these in the class, sometimes they're going to look like a square. But remember, it's not about what the picture looks like. It's about what the dimensions of the sides are. I know this isn't a square because the length and width aren't going to exactly be the same. Okay, so it says the perimeter of a rectangular field is 12 feet longer than it is wide. So I have a width, and I know that my length, okay, longer, that deals with length. I know the length of my rectangle is 12 feet longer than it is wide. So here's the width plus 12 equals my length. Oh, excuse me. I jumped ahead. Let me erase that real quick. Okay. I want to step back for a second because I'm getting ahead of myself. We're looking for L and W. So here's my length and here's my width of any rectangle. That's pretty normal. Okay, it tells me the perimeter. So perimeter is represented by the capital letter P equals 76 feet. Okay. Write the system of equation that could be used to find the length and width of the field. Now here's the thing. Rectangle is the only shape that actually has, for all intents and purposes, the only shape that actually has a formula for perimeter. Okay? So the perimeter formula is P equals 2L plus 2W. So they're actually giving us one of our equations, because we're just trying to find two equations again. They're actually giving us one of our equations by giving us P equals 2L plus 2W. The problem here is we have 3 variables. We don't want 3 variables. We only want 2 variables. Okay? So how do I get rid of that third variable? Well, I already know what P is. P is 76. So my first equation is going to be 76 equals 2L plus 2W. And again, for those of you guys who missed it, this is actually the perimeter of a rectangle formula. Okay? It wasn't that I made that up or I got that out of the actual question. I just know that that's the perimeter of a rectangle formula. And don't panic if you're sitting there going, well, how am I supposed to know what the perimeter of a rectangle is? You're going to have a formula chart that you'll be able to use as we move on, and you'll be able to use it on your test and whatnot. So that's the first formula, the perimeter formula, with the perimeter filled in. So I still only have two variables, the L and W, that we're working with. Okay? So I've taken care of this. I know I kind of skipped this, but I've taken care of this. Now if I go back here, it says the perimeter of the rectangular field is 12 feet longer than it is wide. Or another way to write this is the rectangle's length is 12 feet longer than it is wide. This is what I was doing earlier. So length, we know what length is. Length is the width plus 12 feet. That's what 12 feet longer means. The width plus 12 feet. So now we have a system of equations where we have two equations, 76 equals 2L plus 2W, and L equals W plus 12. So looking at this again, what is our best method for solving this? Again, this time, okay, we know we have 76 equals 2L plus 2W, but if you look closely, it is standard form. It's just backwards. You have AX plus BY equals C over here. And again, you have Y equals MX plus B here. This is set up very similar to the last problem. So in the last problem that we did, what we're going to do, we did substitution. So we're going to do substitution again here. That's the best method based on the way the problem is written. Okay, so let's solve it now. I'm going to rewrite it. 76 equals 2L plus 2W. L equals W plus 12. So when I solve this, I know anywhere I have an L now, because L equals W plus 12, anywhere I have an L now, I can put in W plus 12. It only replaces the L. It is not going to replace this 2. So when I rewrite this, I have 76 equals, I know what L is, so it's going to be 2 times whatever L was, which is W plus 12 plus 2W. So now I've created a distribution problem because I do not eliminate the 2. The 2 stays there. I'm only replacing the L. If this said 2L, that'd be a whole different story, but this just says L. So I got to put that where the L is and bring the 2 down. And I go ahead and solve this equation. So I'm going to bring down the 76. I'm not going to do anything with that yet. 2 times W is 2W. Make sure when you distribute to the other thing as well. 2 times 12 is 24. Plus 2W. Now I need to make sure I combine my like terms. I have two W's on both, two W's right here. You can only combine, just a reminder, you can only combine like terms on the same side of the equal sign. Okay, so let's go ahead and combine like terms. I have 76 equals 2W plus 2W is 4W plus 24. Continue to solve this equation. I subtract 24 from both sides. This cancels out right here. 76 minus 24 is 52 equals 4W.
Teachers, wanted to let you know that any students who came up here to take their final exams today, we're in the process of putting those in your box right now. So if you are still waiting, you might want to come check your box if you're still looking for a couple of students. We're in the process of putting those last testers in your box right now.
Okay, I had to pause for that little announcement, sorry. Here's another one.
We're doing a flyby homeroom first thing in the morning tomorrow so that students can get their second semester schedules. I believe those are in your mailboxes. And we'll send an email out too, because I know there might be some teachers who finished their work and were able to leave. But we are going to start the day tomorrow with a flyby homeroom to pass out second semester schedules. Thanks.
Okay, so then I have 4W equals 52. Divide both sides by 4. 52 divided by 4 is 13. So I know that my width over here is 13. So now I need to find the length. All I have to do is go back in and plug it in. Very similar to the last problem. L is already solved. All I got to do is fill in the W and figure out what the length is. So I'm just going to go ahead and do L equals, instead of W now, I'm going to replace that with 13. So L equals 13 plus 12. L equals 25. If I want to verify my answer is correct, that my length is 25 and my width is 13, and I could do L equals 25, W equals 13, and here's my solution. And if I want to verify it's right, I could add up all the sides and make sure my perimeter equals 76. 25 plus 25 is 50, plus 13 is 63, plus another 13 is 76. So that works there. Is my length 12 more than my width? Well, yes, 25 plus or minus 12 is 13. So that does work out. Okay, let's look at example 3. It says Sean's grandmother, and you're going to see these kind of questions quite a bit. Sean's grandmother gives him 42 coins. Some are dimes and some are nickels. Their total value is $3. Write the system of equation that could be used to find how many nickels N and dimes D Sean's grandmother gave him. Okay, so here's the deal. We have 42 coins. What are those coins made up of? Dimes and nickels. So I know that the number of dimes, the quantity of dimes, D, plus the quantity of nickels, the number of nickels, N, equals 42. Okay, because some are dimes, some are nickels. And we're already given the variables right there. Now, please understand this. This does not mean 10 cents. This does not mean 5 cents. This means the number of dimes and the number of nickels. Two different things. You need to be careful right there. This is what confuses students. But I know if I have 40 dimes and 2 nickels, I have 42 coins. Okay? Now, the next equation, when I write my second equation, is going to be a money value. It's going to equal $3. Okay, well, how do I get $3? Well, each dime is worth how much? 0.10 or 10 cents. So 0.10 times the quantity of dimes is going to give me the amount of dimes that's worth. Don't put 10 there. Make sure you put 0.10 plus 0.05 N for nickels. Again, 0.05 N, not 0.5. 0.5 would be 50 cents. So now I have the money part. Here's quantity, number of dimes, number of nickels, total number of coins. The amount of each dime, the amount of each nickel equals the total amount. There's your equation. I know it's not written very neatly, but now you can see that both of them are in AX plus BY equals C, AX plus BY equals C form. They're both in standard form. So my best method to solve this one is going to be elimination. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite these and get to solving. D plus N equals 42. 0.10 D plus 0.05 N equals, I'm just going to put 3 there. There's no point in putting 0.300 or 3.00 on there. So let's solve by elimination. How am I going to eliminate a D or an N? Well, I can multiply everything by negative, because these are both positive, negative 0.10. So negative 0.10 is going to be negative 0.10 D minus 0.10 D equals, and then you just multiply 42. Make sure you're multiplying, you're getting everything. It's this times negative 0.10, this times negative 1.10, and the 42 times negative 0.10. And you end up over here with negative 4.2. I didn't do anything to this one. I don't need to, so I'm just going to bring it down. I have 0.10 D plus 0.05 n, I've made this a d and it should be an n, excuse me, equals 3. Now I'm going to simply add them down. Negative 10 plus 10, those cancel. That's the point of why we did that. Negative 10 cents. If I owe you 10 cents and I paid you 5 cents, I still owe you 0.05 n equals, if I owe you $4.20, I'm sorry, this is negative, I still owe you 5 cents. If I owe you $4.20, but I give you $3.20, I'm sorry, $3 even, I still owe you, so negative 1.2. Divide both sides by negative 0.05. This cancels, leaving me with n equals. So then you take your negative 1.2 divided by negative 0.05. Make sure it's 0.05 and not 0.5. Be careful there. And you end up with 19.8, which doesn't make any sense. Let me check my math real quick, but I got this problem from somebody else, but it doesn't actually work out, it looks like. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, it does. I did something wrong on my math. This is out at negative 9. This is, excuse me, negative 24. Hopefully you caught that before I did. So, I'm sorry, positive 24. I keep putting negative. Because a negative and negative is going to cancel out these negatives. So that's going to give you a positive 24. So, right now I know that I have 24 nickels. Now I need to figure out how many dimes that Sean's grandmother gave him. Well, that's easy. I'm just going to plug this into one of my two equations, one of my original two equations. Now for me, there's too many decimals up here. I'm going to plug it into this one. This is the easiest of the two. So when I plug it in, I'm going to have d plus, now I know it's 24 equals 42. Okay, so solve for d, subtract 24 from both sides. And you end up with 18. So he's got 18 dimes. And then I would just write my solution just like this. All right, let's do one more example. I want to make sure you have enough. I know it's kind of going on. Hopefully, you know, really the hard part of this is not the solving. Hopefully by now you're good at solving systems. The hard part is writing the equations. Once you can write the equations, you're usually pretty solid. So let's just do this one more example and call it a night. The number of grocery items on two grocery lists differs by 7. And the good thing is, and if you're stopping early or you stop this early, obviously you're not hearing this, but before you cut this off, I want you to understand the more you practice is the better you get at this. I can give you a list of keywords, and we're going to talk about keywords that are going to help us, but you're not going to memorize those until you practice actually putting them into place. All right, number 4. The number of grocery items on two grocery lists differs by 7. The combined total items on both grocery lists is 33. Write the system of equations that could be used to find out how many items are on the first grocery list, X. So here it's identifying our variables for us. And in the second grocery list, Y. So we have two grocery lists that we're dealing with, and we have to figure out how many are on each list, how many items are on each list, okay? So let's just go from the beginning. The number of grocery items on two grocery lists differs by 7. So if I take X minus Y, that's difference. So basically it's saying the difference between two grocery lists is 7. So X minus Y, difference means subtraction. So X minus Y equals 7. The combined total items on both grocery lists is 33. Combining means you add them together. So if I take X plus Y, I'm going to get 33. Now the wording on this problem is actually quite difficult. This is easy. This is taken care of with this equation, and the second sentence is taken care of with this equation. The wording is a little confusing, but if you can get past the wording, this system is easy. This is probably the easiest system we've done so far. So it says write the system's equation we can use to find out how many items are on the first grocery list X and the second grocery list Y. So here's the list. Here's our system. X minus Y equals 7. X plus Y equals 33. Again, we're in standard form. AX plus BY equals C. AX plus BY equals C. Our best method then, if we're both in standard form, is elimination. So we're going to quickly do this one because this is actually very easy. It's already ready to go. I'm rewriting my system over here. Now, if I look closely, X plus X doesn't cancel, but negative Y plus Y does cancel. So I don't have to do anything to this except add it. X plus X is 2x. Negative y plus y cancels. Okay. 7 plus 33 is 40. Divide both sides by 2 to get x. X equals 20. So, grocery list X has 20 items. 20 items on list X. To find out how many are on list Y, just plug it into either one. I'm going to go ahead and plug it into the second one because there's no negative sign. So now instead of X, I'm going to write 20 plus Y equals 35. I'm sorry, I keep putting 35. It's 33. So solve this simple equation. Subtract 20 from both sides. That cancels. Y equals 13. So there's 13 items on list Y. Right, and there's the solution to that one. If I want to check it, is 20 minus 13 equals 7? It does. Does 20 plus 13 equal 33? It does. So it works in both solutions. And again, that's it. And the reminder here, the difficult part is not solving these equations. The difficult part is being able to translate or write the equations from the word problem. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Make sure you're prepared to go, and we'll get right to work when you come in. Have a good day.